There's this deep silence that comes down when heavy snow blankets everything. It's so immediate. It muscles the whole world. And it tricks you, makes you feel safe, alone, almost peaceful.
But it's a fragile piece, isn't it? That isolation doesn't actually stop intruders. Sometimes it feels like it almost invites them. Snow strips everything down, no color, sound gets swallowed up. But then every single mark, every footprint, it becomes evidence. Stark white evidence.
Yeah. So today, we're not really digging into reports or data. We're telling stories. We're sharing 3 really unsettling, true accounts from people who had terrifying encounters right in the middle of that intense winter isolation. Eyewitness stuff.
We're looking at how that snow can be the perfect cover for someone or something stalking you. But it also leaves this chilling map of exactly what they did, their intent laid bare.
Okay, so first, we're heading to the woods in Quebec. A homeowner stalked right on his own property. Then a kid, terrified, dealing with someone trying to break in. And finally, a remote cabin out in the Rockies, visited by figures who left behind something impossible. Let's start with Wakefield, the Watcher. All right, this first one. It comes from a guy who owns a small rental house. It's way out in the woods near Wakefield, Quebec. Pretty remote, like 2 hours from Montreal. He'd gone up there in January, maybe a couple of days after some renters left, just to clean up, check on the place.
And being that far out, you sort of rely on your neighbors, even if they're distant, keeping an eye out. So his first stop makes sense.
Right. Before he even gets to his own house, he pulls into his nearest neighbor's driveway just to look around. And right away, he sees it. Something's off. Footprints. Clear footprints in the fresh snow going along the side of the house. Definitely not the mailman.
Okay, and the tracks themselves, what were they doing? Because that tells you a lot, the pattern.
Well, they came out of the woods on one side, went right up to a window, circled around the back of the house, and then just went off into the woods on the other side. Like someone was just doing a lap, checking it out. He actually called the neighbor later. The neighbor was just like, as long as they didn't break in, I don't really care.
That's interesting. The neighbor just accepts it. It almost normalizes that kind of watching behavior. Like it's just part of the background noise in these remote spots. Aggressive surveillance is just there.
Exactly. And that kind of sets the mood for what he finds at his own place. He drives the last minute up the hills, gets out of his car, and boom, more footprints. All around his house. And it had snowed hard the day before, so these were fresh within the last, 24 hours. So he goes inside, tries to shake it off, puts on music, starts cleaning. But even with the music playing, he hears it. Footsteps. Outside. Clear as day. Passing the window, heading towards the back of the house, he just freezes, realizes his car is right there. Whoever it is, they know he's inside now.
So it shifted from passively watching the neighbor to actively focusing on him. They know he's arrived.
Yeah. He said he just sat there in the living room for maybe 20 minutes, total silence, just listening. Finally, he gets up the nerve to look outside again. And there's a new set of tracks circling the house again. But this time, this is the weird part. The tracks seem to sort of stop or get jumbled up right by the window air conditioning unit at the back. He just felt watched. He went straight back inside, locked the door.
Okay, the AC unit, that's specific. If the tracks bunch up there, it suggests maybe testing something, a way in, or a vantage point. But hang on, you mentioned the police later found tracks on the roof. How does the AC unit fit?
Right, the AC unit was probably the way up. It's the step stool, basically. Turns ground surveillance into, getting height. So later that night, he tries to sleep. No chance. He hears them again. Footsteps past the window, feeding away. He's wide awake now. Grabs a coat, a baseball bat, goes back outside.
In the snow. What did it show this time?
This time, there's a new trail. But it starts right at that AC unit and leads away back into the woods.
Wow, okay. So that really points to someone using the AC to climb onto the roof. They were up there, watching. Maybe looking for lights inside, movement. Then climbed down and left. This isn't just someone wandering by. This is calculated, persistent, finding a tactical advantage. The escalation is key here, from looking to getting on the house. Right above him, that's chilling.
He called the police then. An officer from Wakefield came out, confirmed the tracks, actually climbed up on the roof himself, and footprints up there on the roof. Confirmed. Just this really creepy, methodical stalking incident out there in the quiet woods.
And incredibly unnerving that the surveillance was confirmed but didn't lead to, say, a forced entry. Which brings us to the next account, where things move beyond just watching. They cross that line into active confrontation.
Exactly. This next one involves active intrusion. And a kid, he's a 7th grader, home alone, one of the first times. Down in the basement, playing video games. It's described as a big, kind of spooky basement anyway.
Yeah.
And outside, cloudy, snowing. Sets the scene right.
Oh, definitely. The basement adds that layer of vulnerability, especially for a kid alone. It's often dark, feels separate from the rest of the house.
Yeah.
The perfect amplifier for fear.
And the first sound hits, just bang, loud, on the basement window. His first thought, maybe hopeful, was an icicle falling. He saw snow scatter on the glass.
Rationalization. Trying to find a normal explanation.
But then, a second bang, just as loud. He realizes someone's throwing snowballs.
Yeah.
And he immediately thinks it's his older brother, Keith, messing with him.
Which is natural. Assume it's family, reduce the fear. But that assumption, it led to a really bad move.
Yeah, he did. He goes upstairs, unlocks the door, steps outside onto the ground level patio, just wearing slides, mind you, and he calls out, "Keith, seriously, why didn't you say you were coming home?" And he sees movement, someone hiding in the bushes near the back fence. But as he looks, the person seems way too tall to be Keith. Instant fear kicks in. He scrambles back inside, slams the door, locks it.
Oh, no. So he just announced he's there, confirmed he's likely alone, and pinpointed his location to a stranger. The game just changed. It's not surveillance anymore. It's confrontation.
He grabs the phone, calls his mom. She confirms immediately. Keith is definitely not home. He's over at a friend's house. And right then, as he's on the phone, another snowball hits the basement window. So the person is still right there, actively trying to get his attention, or worse. His parents tell him, "Go upstairs, lock your bedroom door, turn off all the lights." They call the police.
Smart move. But the intruder knew the kid was inside, knew he was scared. Yet they didn't immediately try to force their way in. They were patient, calculated.
So the boy goes upstairs, room dark, and he peeks out the window. It's getting darker outside, but he can see this tall figure wearing a hood, just moving around the backyard, looking in the downstairs windows. Then the figure stops at the kitchen window where a light had been left on and starts knocking on it.
Trying to lure him. Or just confirming he's still believed to be downstairs. That's manipulative. It goes way beyond a simple prank now.
And then he watches the figure walk over to one of the other downstairs windows and physically try to lift it open. He said the windows hadn't been unlocked for ages, but the intent was unmistakable. This is a real break-in attempt. Then the figure looks up, right towards his upstairs window. He ducks down fast, but he knows he's been seen again. Seconds later, CRSH. Something hits his bedroom window hard. A snowball. The intruder saw him, threw a few more directly at his window, then stopped and left.
Textbook escalation. Noise first, the snowballs. Then, instead of backing off when the victim reacts, they push harder, attempted entry. And finally, direct intimidation by throwing things right at where they know the kid is hiding. The motivation seems to shift there from maybe opportunistic theft to something more like malice, pure terror.
The police came, found footprints all over the yard, totally disturbed. But the person was gone. It just left this awful feeling that it wasn't kids messing around. It was, as the account put it, some twisted individual using the snow as cover for a real attack. Okay, so from targeted surveillance and attempted intrusion, we now shift gears again. We're going to the Colorado Rockies, a remote cabin. And the fear here becomes, well, something else, something that maybe breaks the rules of reality. This involves 4 friends out at a cabin owned by one of their families, John's family. They went specifically for a snowy weekend getaway.
That kind of remote mountain cabin, it's the ultimate isolation, isn't it? Which is great until something goes wrong. Then help is miles, maybe hours away.
So the second day they're there, 2 of the guys, John and the narrator, decide to hike way up the mountain trails. The weather turns. Snow gets heavier, turns into a blizzard. Thick fog rolls in. Visibility drops to almost nothing. As they start heading back down, they hear it. This really unsettling sound from behind them, like a moaning or a humming sound. Definitely human sounding, not an animal. And it kept happening. They'd pick up the pace, obviously creeped out, and then they hear something else. Footsteps. Clear footsteps, tracking them from behind in the snow. You could hear it easily in the dead quiet of the snowfall. But the fog was so thick they couldn't see a thing behind them. They just start running back towards the cabin.
Just hearing footsteps chasing you in that silence and fog, not knowing what it is, that's pure primal fear, pursuit by the unseen.
So as they're running, crashing through the snow, the narrator's phone suddenly gets reception, and it just blows up. Texts from his girlfriend, Trish, back at the cabin. The texts are frantic, like, "Are you and John outside the cabin? We're scared to go out there." They finally burst back into the cabin, totally out of breath. And the girls, Trish and the other friend, they're terrified. They confirm, yeah, about 10 minutes ago, they saw 2 people outside. just walking around the cabin. One of them apparently stopped right at the window and stared inside. The girls just hid, stayed quiet until the guys got back, locked everything down, grabbed a hunting rifle that was there. They spent the evening completely on edge.
Okay, so it connects. The sounds and footsteps on the mountain track with two actual figures seen at the cabin around the same time. The threat feels very real, very coordinated now. It's not just paranoia from the fog.
Later that night, they're trying to relax, watching a movie, and suddenly, bang, bang, bang. This loud, really aggressive knock hits the front door, undeniable. John grabs the rifle, they all just freeze, stare at the door, absolute silence inside. The knock never comes again. They basically spend the rest of the night awake, guarding the living room, just waiting for whoever or whatever was out there to try something else. They get through the night, nothing else happens. But the next morning, this is the part that just doesn't make sense. As they're packing up, cleaning up outside before leaving, they look around. And the fresh snow all around the cabin, where they heard the moaning start, where the girls saw two figures walking, where that heavy knock hit the door, it's completely clean, untouched. Wait, hang on. How is that possible? They heard footsteps chasing them. The girls saw two people. There was a loud knock. But zero footprints in fresh snow.
It doesn't fit. It goes right back to what we said at the start. Snow is the recorder. It holds the evidence. And here, the recording is blank. Footsteps were definitely heard on the mountain. Two figures were definitely seen near the cabin. A physical knock was heard on the door. All of that activity should have left tracks, especially in fresh snow.
The fact that there were none,
Yeah.
it pushes this story beyond just human stalkers, doesn't it? The fear shifts from the Wakefield watcher who left proof, something totally inexplicable.
Exactly. The psychological impact there is immense. If you can't find physical proof of a human threat you know is there, if the evidence simply fails to exist where it absolutely should, what are you left with? Your mind jumps to the supernatural, or maybe something else. Something so careful, so aware that it knows how to leave no trace at all, which is almost more terrifying. Yeah.
So 3 stories. 3 different shades of fear born from winter isolation. We had the relentless surveillance in Quebec, watching from the roof. The terrifying, escalating intrusion attempt on a child using noise and persistence. And finally, these aggressive yet completely trackless visitors in the Rockies.
Each one shows a different facet of that fear, doesn't it? The fear of being watched, the fear of being attacked, and maybe the deepest fear, the fear of something you can't prove or explain. But the common thread is that silence, that blanket of snow. It provides the perfect stage, the perfect cover for whatever lurks just out of sight.
When everything goes quiet and the snow lies deep and clean, you feel alone. But the proof of intrusion might just be a single footprint away. Unless the intruder doesn't need to leave proof.
And that leaves you with a final chilling question. Which is worse? The threat that leaves clear evidence of its malice, or the one that comes and goes without leaving a single trace?
If these stories chilled you, please support the channel. Be sure to press like, share these terrifying accounts with your friends, and subscribe to the Horror Docs channel for more deep dives into the shadows. Good night, and stay safe in the quiet of the night.